The Prophet Muhammad was welcomed in Medina by a community that had sincerely adopted the moral values of Islam and completely obeyed him. With our Prophet's arrival in Medina, the Meccan period came to an end, and a new period began that would last until the Prophet's death 10 years later. The Muslims of Medina regarded the migrants on the path of God who had abandoned everything they owned in Mecca as brothers. In the wake of this, the emigrants entered into a citizenship treaty with the tribes of Medina, including Jews, to jointly defend Medina from external attack. This document, known as the Constitution of Medina, or the Charter of Medina, and which is regarded as the first written constitution in the history of Islam, is an important example of Islamic society's attitude toward individual rights and conception of justice. Various rights and duties of citizens were set out in the Constitution, and the rules by which different communities were to live together were clarified. The Constitution guaranteed considerable autonomy and security for the Jewish minority in the words, "To the Jews their religion, and to the Muslims their religion." This applies to their clients and to themselves, with the exception of anyone who has done wrong or committed treachery. As a result, communities with different religions and of different races that had been hostile to one another for around a century were able to establish a common life. With this constitution, the Prophet Muhammad showed that conflict between communities that used to attack one another at every opportunity, were hostile to one another, and could never be reconciled, could actually come to an end when people abided by the moral values of the Quran, and they could live together. Under the Constitution of Medina, everyone was free to choose his own religion, belief, political opinion, or philosophy with no duress. The communities were free to apply their own laws. The parties to the Constitution were to undertake a joint defense and support one another with mutual aid in the event of an attack. In the event of any disagreement among Muslims and Jews, the matter was to be referred to the Prophet. In this way, the Muslims who had been no more than a faction in Mecca were able to establish their own government by migrating to Medina.